In today's video, I'm doing a Pit Boss Brisket Texas style. Hey, this is Ricer from Dead Broke Barbecue, Wisconsin, and welcome back to the channel. But if you're new here, we try to help you enhance and amplify your backyard barbecue fun. Now, Texas brisket is my favorite because you know that I love pepper. So grab some salt and pepper, Tim. We're gonna amplify some backyard barbecue fun. This brisket is a Wagyu brisket, and I got it from Draft Family Farm. It was dry aged for around 25 days. And because I threw it in the freezer, it got a little bit darker on the edges, but I trimmed that off the best that I could. And when I started trimming this up, it was partially frozen. When that fat starts to melt, it becomes pretty buttery and hard to trim. So I suggest any Wagyu briskets, keep it nice and extra cold. This is 100% Wagyu beef or 100% Japanese cow. And obviously I always keep my scrap because I'm either gonna use it for some sausage or we'll make some beef tallow out of it. But for today's cook, I got sent some Wagyu beef tallow that we'll put on top of this later. After it was all trimmed up, I spread my favorite flaky salt over the top of it. And don't worry, this flaky salt, you can put it on a little bit heavier. It's not like table salt. Got both sides covered and threw it back in the fridge overnight. So we got part of our Texas rub. We've got our salt on here. Now we gotta add our black pepper. I'm using 16 mesh because that's what they use down there. And I got this from Amazon and it's called San Antonio. I'm on my third bag of this, and if you're looking for some 16 mesh yourself, I'll put a link in the description below. Everything will be in the description below. So now I wanna start on the back side, flip it over, and we're just gonna put a little bit of avocado oil on here, get that rubbed around the whole thing. That we're gonna use for our binder today. And this brisket is still nice and cold, so we should get a good smoke ring on it. And we'll go ahead and start putting on our 16 mesh. And I'm going pretty heavy. I like around a 3-to-1 ratio, typically. You just really develop a nice bark. And we'll just kind of tap it in a little bit. And I'm just using avocado oil because that's what I got right now. You can use olive oil, that'll work fine. And repeat, same thing. Now this isn't a huge brisket. It's actually kind of just the right size for eating around the house. As I tap this in, I want to thank all of my Patreons or my join button on my YouTube channel. I really appreciate it. That really helps me continue to keep on making videos. And all of you that tell me that you enjoy what I do, I really appreciate you leaving great comments like that. I have a lot of fun making videos, but I'm glad that you enjoy them too. All right, let's get this Pit Boss fired up. Turn the power on. And we're gonna turn it up to 280 degrees. And with the new update to the 1600, we now have those 10-degree increments, so at least I can run close to that 275. That's a bonus. And like always, leave the lid open and make sure that the Pit Boss is burning clean. And when you hear that afterburner kick in, then you can go ahead and load up your food. But you certainly don't want any of this garbage on your meat. This is the bad smoke, and look at how crazy it gets. You feel like you're at a concert. There was the afterburner. Perfect timing. And you can see that the smoke is starting to dissipate, and that means we're actually starting to burn those pellets and not just smolder them over the igniter. All right, let's get this hunk of love put under some smoke. Now I'm gonna set it over on the left-hand side here. We're gonna get it in with the point, the thicker part, towards the fire pot. And if you've watched me long enough, you know that I like to use some little wood chunks underneath the bottom of it to dome it up because we want that moisture to run off this brisket. Put this bigger one right here. This is really gonna help dome it up. That should work pretty good. We're aerodynamic and we've got it so it'll drip off instead of pool up. Now I'm gonna use my signals today and not my meter stick. And we're gonna put this one in the thicker part of the flat into the point right here. And this one, well, I'm just gonna put this one in here just to measure because this is a little bit thinner of a flat. And I wanna just make sure that I'm not getting that overcooked. And now I'm just gonna set a timer for 2 hours and then I'll come back and spritz it if I need to. But it is Wagyu, So my guess is that we're probably not gonna need to really add a lot of moisture to this brisket. And of course, seeing that we're doing it Texas style, I'm using oak pellets from Lumberjack. They're the best. All right, my 2-hour timer went off. Let's go ahead and check out this brisket. Oh yeah, she's looking pretty good. We're getting some good color. Get a little bit of that juice that's down here off. We're starting to build up a decent bark. And the bark is almost starting to stick, so should be good. We gotta give her a little bit longer. Close the lid back up. And I'll set a timer for another hour, and I'm just gonna keep on monitoring this cook. And once we start reaching right around 175 degrees, then we're gonna wrap this up in some butcher paper. Our temps are running right under 150 degrees, so we've got a couple more hours to go. I'm just about 6.5 hours into this cook, and we're pushing up to that 170 degrees. And this is a great time to heat up some of this Wagyu tallow from South Chicago Packaging. I already cut out the top of the plastic, so that's out of there. We're gonna take our dull strung spoon and get a few clumps of it out of there. 1, 2, and that should be good enough. This is gonna be more than what we're gonna need for this brisket, but it's better to have more than not enough. We'll just take it and put it right in the pit, and right back here is a great spot for it, but the bark on this brisket is looking incredible. It's starting to look like a good old-fashioned Texas style brisket. And we'll close her back up, and then we're just gonna wait till we reach that 175 degrees, and by that time, that tallow will be easily, I guess, melted? It's kind of like melting butter. It'll be melted, or I guess liquid form, and it'll be a lot easier to put it on this brisket when it's time to wrap it up. To hit that last 5 degrees, it's only gonna take about 15-20 minutes. I'll see you then. Pressed record before I had my gloves on. That's a no-no, because I don't want to burn my hands. As long as we're filming, these are the style that I do. Cotton liner, right over the top of the nitro. You're good to go. It's been about 15 minutes, and we've got a good average of 175 degrees. Let's get that brisket off and wrap it up. Now the point end is running a little bit hotter than the flat, and that's okay. But we'll take these out, get rid of our fun little wood chunks. No sense to keep them anymore. But this brisket's looking pretty good. Nice and juicy. And we'll just set that down right about here for now. Grab out our beef tallow, and this little thing is gonna be hot. That's gonna have some heat on it, so you're gonna have to be quick. First, we'll just take and put just a little bit of the tallow underneath on the bottom. Then we're gonna wanna go ahead and pour a little bit right on top of it, because this brisket's hot and it's gonna suck that all in. Grab your sheet and pull it over. Get it kind of pulled in there tight. And then fold an edge, and then fold over your other edge and get that nice and smooth. Now I use Brico butcher paper and get it right on Amazon, and I really like it. I'll put a link for that below too. Once I get to this spot, then I just take this little remainder and we're gonna fold it right underneath on the bottom. That'll give us just a little bit of heat resistance for that fat cap. Take your little bundle of joy and put it right back in the pit. And this time we're gonna set them just to the left of the fire pot. I don't need 2 probes now, just gonna use one. And why can't I figure out where it is? There it is. Oh my. Now we're gonna feel around again, and this is our flat side. Here's our point, and we're gonna wanna go right in between the flat and the point, but more on that thicker side, and get it in, and get it about halfway. Now we'll close up the lid, and we're just gonna keep on monitoring that temperature, and once we get around 205 degrees, then I'll start checking for probe tenderness. I'll bring it back and I'll tell you how long it took. I'm 8 hours into this cook and the brisket is reading 205 degrees. Let's double check it with the thermal pen, but my guess, this brisket's done. And we'll just pull out our probe. Let's poke in here and see what we got. That's reading 202, 203, 204 towards the point end. Yeah, 205 right there. So I'm gonna say this is done. It's pretty tender. So we'll get this brisket out And we're just gonna put it in this aluminum pan and let it rest for about 15 minutes. And then we're gonna take it and put it back in our Cambro and give it a 2-hour nap. Shut down the Pit Boss, and that's gonna go into a 15-minute cool down. And I gotta say that the Pit Boss ran pretty dang good today. It only had about a 5-degree up or down in temperature. I'll deal with that. That's pretty good. I'll see you back when it's time to slice into this Texas style Wagyu brisket. This brisket is rested for 2.5 hours. It's time to start slicing it up. But first, for all of you that are interested in cooking, come over to Facebook and join the Dead Broke Barbecue Nation. I'll put a link to that below also. I got a lot of links in the description in this video. Start unwrapping her here. Lots of moisture in this good old butcher paper. This is pretty tender. We should be okay. So we got some decent bark. I'm happy with that. This isn't the biggest brisket in the world, but I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be good. First, let's just go ahead and check out and see what kind of smoke ring we got. Oh yeah, beautiful smoke ring. Now, I don't always slice up the whole brisket right away either because it starts to oxidize and dries out. So we're just gonna leave this flat alone for right now, but let's go ahead and get a couple slices out of this. Well, we've got good bend on it. A little thicker than a number 2, but it'll work. Slice off a couple bites of this flat. Texas brisket. Wow, for sure. That salt and pepper that's in there is dynamite. Just the way I like it. Now we'll cut into here and get into some more of this point. Tender, obviously juicy. Take this piece right here. Try this one out. It's so good, and if you haven't had any Wagyu brisket before, it's rich in flavor and there's a lot of moisture in it. No, come on. You gotta remember, I salt brine this and I just added black pepper. And that's really all you need for a good brisket. You get to taste a little bit more of the meat, and with this one, I did about a 3-to-1 ratio. 3 parts black pepper, 1 part salt. I can tell you by adding that Wagyu tallow, that really helped keep that bark stiff because I was using the butcher paper, but not tough. And I think it helped retain more moisture in this brisket, so I'm sold and I'm gonna certainly do it again. Huge thank you to Draft Family Farm for sending me this Wagyu brisket. It's 100% full-blooded Wagyu. It's the good stuff. All right, well, roll the Dead Broke Barbecue Nation. Carefully, don't screw with the lens. Hold on to the body, not the lens, because the lens is a zoom. And just take it and put it right in there and clip it back in. It's starting to rain out. Getting a storm coming in, and you wonder why I cook in here. Did you follow me?
Yep, it caught me and I think.
That's all right, we're gonna stop it. Okay, now just take control of it and get it over on top of that brisket.